grade. We're going to start in our next lesson on section 4.3 in our books, covering pages 244 to 247. Hopefully you have your note packet out and are ready to take notes today. In this video segment, we are only focusing on examples 1 and 2, and we're going to find rates of change from a chart, and then I'm going to show you on a graph what those slopes, what those rates of change look like on a graph. So we're just going to focus on examples 1 and 2 today. Let's start with our first definition here. A rate of change is a ratio, okay? Circle the word ratio, and remember that that's just Mathanese for fraction, okay? We're comparing two things. Something's in the numerator, something's in the denominator. And in this case, it's the dependent variable, which is, of course, our y, is going to end up being in the numerator, and then our independent variable is going to be in the denominator. So we're looking at the change in the dependent variable versus the change in the independent variable. Now let's look at example 1, and we're going to see if the problem itself tells us which one is the y and which one is the x, okay? So the table shows the cost of mailing a 1-ounce letter in different years. Find the rate of change in cost for each time interval. During which time interval did the cost increase at the greatest rate? Okay, so right away, you see your table. They've given you some good information here. Year is on the top line, and that is usually your x, and cost is on your bottom line, which is usually your y. Now, to double check this, I'm going to go back to the problem, and they want us to find the rate of change in cost for each time interval. Cost for each time interval. So that makes sense to me. That tells me that cost per year is what we're after. Cost per year. What is that change in the cost over these time intervals, over these years, which could be a year apart, 2 years apart, 5 years apart, it just depends, okay? So that's how we're going to set this up. We're going to do cost, the change in cost, divided by or over the change in the number of years between 88 to 90, 90 to 91, 91 to 2004, and then 2004 to 2008. Those are the years we're going to track. So let's start here in the very first 2 points that are given here. So we are tracking changes between 1988 and 1990, okay? When we set this up to find this rate of change, we're going to start with our y's. The y's are going to be up top. We're going to do cost over year. That's our setup. That's how we're going to do it. The problem tells us that. The chart, the way the chart's organized, it tells us to do that. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so this is how you do it. You take the cost in 1990, which is 25 cents, and you're going to subtract the cost in 1988. Then go back for the years. You're going to take 1990 minus 1988. You're going to get 0 divided by 2, which is 0. What that means is that the cost didn't change. It changed 0 cents in 2 years. That's what it actually means. 0 cents in 2 years. That's the meaning of it. In case you were like, I'm not sure where the 0 came from. I know that 0 divided by 2 is 0, but I don't know what it means. That's what it means. That your cost changed 0 cents, so it remained the same for 2 solid years is what happened here. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to come over here and we want to work on the changes between 1990 and 1991. So let's make a little list here. There's 90 to 91. Again, we're going to do cost per year. Okay, now let's go over to the far right one under 1991. It went to 29 cents in 1991, and it was only 25 cents in 1990. And so we'll follow suit, 91 minus 1990. and that means we have a change of 4 cents per year. Okay, so we have a rate of change of 4, which just all it means is 4 cents per year, 1 year. That's what that means. So that's actually a pretty high jump when you look at it, when it didn't change at all in 2 years, and then all of a sudden in 1 year it went up 4 cents. So that's a pretty big jump. Okay. Now we're going to focus on these years right here, what I have circled. So we're going to go from 91 to 2004. So 91 to 2004. We're going to do cost per year. Follow suit. Do the same thing you did in the previous two. Start with the 2004 information. So we went from 37 cents in 2004, and remember it was 29 cents in 1991. And so you're going to just do the same thing, 2004 minus 1991. I'm running out of room, so if I have to bump down, don't worry. And what it looks like is we have 8 over 13. So, and that is a decimal. It's 62, which is actually 62 cents per year. Okay, so we go back here to this original fraction that we subtracted 37 minus 29 and then 2004 minus 1991. What that means is this particular change, it changed 8 cents in 13 years. So you're spreading out 8 cents over 13 years, whereas here 4 cents occurred over 1 year. So that 4 cents in 1 year is a big change. This looks big. It's really not, because it's spread out over such a big time increment. So 8 cents in 13 years just means an average of 62 cents a year, and that's not that big of a deal at all. Okay, so hopefully I've made perfect sense on that. If I haven't, please back that up and look at me one more time. And then we're going to get to our last batch here, which are our last two. We're going to look at the change between 2004 and 2008. So I'm going to do just a little bit of erasing because I don't have enough room to work. And you leave the work on your paper. You write much smaller than I do. So, all right, let's go 04 to 08, sorry. And we're going to do the cost per year again. So start with 2008. So it went to 42 cents. It was 37 cents. And then, of course, it's 2008 and 2004. Okay, so we need to do those subtractions, and we're going to end up with 5 over 4, which is now, I do want to make one correction. Let me go back up to the top here. I think I said 62 cents per year. It wasn't 62 cents per year. It was 62 hundredths of a cent. That's not a whole penny. That's a little over half a penny. So this increase from 1991 to 2004, that increase is actually very minimal. Half a penny, a little over half a penny per year. You're not even near a penny a year. So I do want to make that correction up here. So please note that correction. When you get here, what we're saying is we increase slightly over a penny a year. We're looking at 1 1/4 penny increase per year. That's what we're looking at here. Okay, so we have 4 values that we want to look at. So I'm going to do some erasing because I'm going to put them all up side by side because I want you to look at it. Okay, I'm erasing, you don't. If you need extra room, use the bottom of your page or get a sheet of notebook paper out. So remember what we said, 1998 to 1990, we calculated a change of 0 cents in 2 years. So our rate of change is 0. In 1990 to 1991, we noted a change of 4 cents in 1 year, and so that rate of change is 4. And then from 91 to 2004, we noted a change of 8 cents in 13 years. And remember, I made that correction. I said there's an increase of a little over half a penny per year, okay, as you may recall. So that's going to actually be a rate of change of just 0.62. And then from 2004 to 2008, we noted a change of 5 cents in 4 years. Hopefully you can read that, 4 years, which is 1.25 cents a year, or 1.25. Okay, so the numbers, what we want to focus on are the numbers. We know each one. Here's that first interval, second interval, third interval, and fourth interval. And we want to focus on that math because one of those numbers it indicates the biggest increase in cost. It's the biggest rate of change in that particular set of years. So as you look at it, 0, that means it didn't change at all. So that's not going to ever be your biggest number, okay? And as you look at them, you're looking for the largest number here. So the largest number of your 4 choices, 0, 4, 62 hundredths, 1 and 25 hundredths. Of those 4 numbers, the number 4 is the largest. That's your biggest rate of change. And so to answer the question, during which time interval did the cost increase at the greatest rate, we would put 1990 to 1991. That's where we saw the biggest rate of change. If that did not make sense to you, or you did not understand a word I said, rewind it, listen to it again, and if you still don't understand it, write down some questions and let's review it and talk about it in class tomorrow, okay? Now flip to your next page. I'm going to do this one very, very quickly. Your book really, I don't know what they were doing. They put a lot of stuff on this page. Example 2 is related to example 1. And what I wanted to show you was from a graph. If you were given a graph, you could always tell which segment has the greatest change. You could always tell from a graph. And I wanted to show you very simply how to do that. Now you see this very first segment right here, I'll circle it, that very first segment, that is the rate of change between 1988 and 1990. See how it's a horizontal line? It didn't change. It stayed the same cost. It stayed at 25 cents, as you recall from our chart on the previous page. So it's flatlined. It didn't change at all. And so you're going to see a horizontal line for that, okay? And then the second segment, which is right next to it and attached to it, let me circle that for you. The second segment right here, do you see how sharp of an angle it's sitting? That means it increased very quickly in a short amount of time. The sharper the angle, the bigger that rate of change is. So kind of keep that in mind. I'll repeat that. The sharper the angle, the steeper the line, the greater that rate of change is. Okay, now let me erase that. We'll get to our next segment, which lies between 91 and 2004. Do you see how it's not horizontal, but it's not really terribly steep. It's increasing, but it's doing its increase over a longer amount of time. And so it's just not very steep line. And so remember what I said, the steeper the line, the bigger the rate of change. So let me erase that, and we'll get to our last segment, which is right here between 2004 and 2008, where in that 4-year segment of time, our price went up 5 cents. So we have basically a little over a penny increase per year, and it's a little steeper, but it's not the steepest of the 4 segments that are up there. So what I wanted you to be able to do is I want you to be able to look at a graph and tell, okay, which segment is the steepest? All right, that's the segment between 1990 and 1991, and therefore that's your greatest rate of change. So 1990 to 1991 has steepest segment therefore, it has the greatest rate of change. So I want you to relate that, greatest rate of change. I want you to relate that the rate of change has something to do with the steepness of the line. The steeper that line is on your graph, the greater the rate of change is. So that's what I wanted you to learn today from examples 1 and 2. If you will flip back in your note packet to, let's see here. Let me go back to this one where you can try it on your own. You may need to grab an extra sheet of paper if I don't have enough room there for you, and try that one. See if you can determine which of those time intervals have the greatest rate. If you have questions, bring them to class tomorrow. Thank you so much.